Hello and welcome back, and the party are here. They have waited for a day to try and get these wolf skins into some kind of wearable form, and they're now wearing wolfskin cloaks. Two of the cloaks are quite badly singed, and the dwarves are wearing those. They also have the skins from the boars, which can be added to the wolfskin cloaks. What they think about their new wolfskin cloaks depends on each individual person. Malin seems to be getting the most from it, as he is making snarling and howling noises and pawing at his sister, who just rolls her eyes. For her part, is having a conversation with Sylvia, where she says, "I know our homeland is in danger. I know we have just rescued 100 slaves. I know what we're doing is important, but there's a part of me that just wants to go back to Specularum, take all my gold out of the bank, buy a fancy house, and loads of fancy clothes. And here I am," and she holds up her wolfskin cloak wearing this. And Sylvia just gives her a smile and a pat on the shoulder. It's going to take them 6 hexes to get to the base of this volcano. That will take them up to the latter part of the day. Let's see if they encounter anything in the first 3 hexes. They don't. Let's see if they encounter anything in the next 3 hexes. They don't. So they make it to the base of the volcano cliff. And it would be foolish to take it on, because by the time they reach the summit, it will be nighttime and the temperature will be freezing. So they're going to camp here for the night. Does anything happen in the middle of the night? It doesn't. So they wake up the next day and begin their ascent. There's quite a long paragraph how to handle the ascent. For all characters except thieves, there's a base chance of falling while climbing is 50%. This is reduced by 10% if a thief is guiding other characters. We have a thief, so that's 40%. A further 10% if dexterity scores are 15 or greater. That does not apply to us. Nobody has that. And if the characters are roped together, there's a further 20%. Now we have 2 ropes of climbing, so they're good enough to reduce that by another 10%. Altogether, there's a 10% chance that somebody will fall. It doesn't say how high they fall, but it does say there are obvious handholds and roots up the rock face, so there might also be a platform where they can rest for half the time. It takes 12 hours of climbing to reach the top of the cliffs. During this time, normal encounters are still rolled on table 4, but only the following encounters apply: pteranodons, pterodactyls, or tremors. This place is not geologically stable. And we're told here that if the party don't have suitable warm clothing, they will suffer frostbite damage. Even though we've had ropes of climbing for a long time, I believe it might have even been in the Eye of Traldar, or even in Keep on the Borderlands. We've never really looked at what a rope of climbing is, and it comes from the basic red box set, and it's a miscellaneous magic item. A rope of climbing, this 50-foot long thin strong rope, will climb in any direction upon the command of the owner. It may fasten itself onto any protruding surface and will support up to 10,000 coins of weight. It's a bit more magical than, say, an elven rope from The Lord of the Rings, which is easy to tie into knots and can release itself from knots when needed. This rope has an almost whimsical magical quality to it. It will climb up a surface like a snake and tie itself around any protrusion. I think if you have a rope that can untie itself on command when the knot is high up and you are at the base of a cliff, that is handy. If you have a rope which somehow makes climbing 10 or 20% easier, I would say that's handy. So I don't even think that the magical snake-like quality of the rope of climbing is even necessary. The next day dawns, and during our travels, which were uneventful, everybody has been cured up to max health. We did find a citrine gem in the fortress where the evil party were. Donard has cast continual light onto it, so we now have 4 continual light sources. We have the garnet gem that Malin has inside the lantern. We've got 2 ordinary little pebbles, which I call light pebbles, and now we have a citrine gem. A citrine is a yellowish gem, so this continual light gives off a warm yellowish glow, whereas the garnet gives off a pinkish glow. The party are here at the bottom of the cliff. This is going to be the second time that I have tried running this. The first time I played it as written, where you were given odds for success and failure under various conditions, like is there a thief or is the party roped together? And I threw some percentage dice for each of the party members. They all made it to the top, and in around 30 seconds the whole session was over. The module does say it takes 12 hours to climb and to make wandering monster checks, and if anybody falls they take damage. However, it doesn't really say how often you should roll for wandering monsters, and if anybody falls, how far do they fall, or what happens if they're roped together. You know, if somebody falls, they will just hang there attached to everybody else. So it was all rather vague, and if you play it as written, it's extremely uneventful. This is module X1, so people are using it to learn with, and a few pointers on what would be good play would be helpful. Okay, that's my grumble over with. I did think the situation as set up described some rules, some vague environmental issues, but no real hints as to how to turn that into an actual game with dice. So I have changed it into this. There are roughly 12 different platform stations, and if it takes 12 hours to climb, each is roughly 1 hour of a climb. At each stage, I will roll for a wandering monster check. Even if you do roll a 5 or 6, of all the options, only 3 of them are valid. And that's the pterodactyls, the pteranodons, and the earth tremors. So there's a good chance that they won't encounter too much on the way up. As far as falling is concerned, when you take into account all the circumstances and the fact they have a rope of climbing, Liz needs to roll 100% to fall. Anything 99 or less and she's fine. As for the others, they have a 90% chance of success. If they do fall, I will roll 1d6 for damage because they are tied together, but the falling person will hit some rock on the way downward, and they can stop at each of these platforms to rest and heal up. But before we begin, I got myself these. We have some blue dice, though some may look quite black on camera. They are the same make as these ones. My orange and green dice are opaque, and they have a metallic powder through them to give a sort of marbled luster effect. I thought these were the same. I mistook the transparency for a reflection. It was only apparent when I opened them that they were transparent, but nonetheless, not complaining. I thought they would be handy for all those times when you need an odd number of dice. And that will include this one. We have 6 party members, and I will roll for Liz, Sylvia and Malin, then Carrick, Donard and Gareth, and I will do it in the order of orange, green and blue. And so we will check the percentage rolls at every stage. So let's climb the first stage. Oh, okay. Well, somebody falls. That's blue. Okay, these are unlucky dice already. And that's Malin. He was too busy monkeying around with his cloak. Right, he takes 1d6 damage. Right, he's down to 12. Then I'll do Carrick, Donard and Gareth. Whoa, Carrick got 89 there, close, and Donard scrambles up with a mere 1%, and Gareth, well, he's not too great at 71. So we make it to the first stage. And there's a wandering monster. What could it be? 5 pterodactyls, 7 of them. We've had pterodactyls before. I'll pause for a second and get this set up. 7 pterodactyls. Let's do distance. Alright, they're very far away. That's 190 yards away. We have to do a reaction roll. I'm going to add +2 onto this. So that's 9. That's possibly friendly. And that's another 9, and that's friendly. They decide that we're not worth eating. Essentially, they're just a cluster of pterodactyls we see in the sky, and they just fly past us. Right, let's move up to the second tier. Right, this is Liz, Sylvia, and Malin. Okay, Malin scampers up, think he's learnt his lesson, as does Sylvia, and Liz gets 94, but she has a 99% chance, so that lot is safe. Carrick climbs up nimbly, as does Donard and Gareth. Some nice low rolls there. Wandering monsters. Oh, there is some. Right, what is it this time? 7. That's an animal herd. Do I roll again until I get one of the relevant ones, or do I just ignore that? Oh no, it's quite explicit. Continue to roll for wandering monster encounters, but ignore all results. It takes 12 hours of climbing to reach the top of the cliffs. During this time, normal encounters are still rolled for on table 4, but only the following encounters apply. Right. Even though this is for the inside surface of the volcano, it does use the word ignore. So I will ignore that one, and we can climb to the next level. Right, close call for Malin. Sylvia makes it up easily, and Liz is still struggling there. Next we have Donard and Carrick, and Gareth. Right, okay, they make it up moderately well. Donard did quite well. Again, there is check for a wandering monster. And that's 5, which is the pterodactyls are back again. Right, have they come any closer? Yes, they're a bit closer. 150 yards away. That's uncertain. We see them. They've come back for a second glance. They seem to be flying and circling around us. That gives the party time to get some kind of preparation going. For Malin, Sylvia and Liz to stand at the cliff wall while Donard, Carrick and Gareth hold close to the edge. 5. That's attack. Right. So these pterodactyls swoop in. Let's roll for initiative. We get initiative. Missiles. Liz misses. Sylvia. Her ranged THAC0 is 14. She hits armor class 5. They have armor class 7. But she only does 4 damage. One is down to 2. Right, they're spread out quite a bit and they're moving, so a fireball might not be that effective, but a magic missile would. And yes, that is more than enough to kill one. So Malin has cast his magic missile. There is nothing the fighters can do until these pterodactyls swoop at them. So we will move on to round number 2 and roll for initiative again. They get initiative. There's 6 of them left. They don't have a great THAC0. They will need a natural 20 to hit Donard and Carrick. Gareth has an AC of 1. They can hit him on a roll of 18, so I shall do the 2 on Donard. Both of those miss. The 2 on Carrick. Both of those miss. And the 2 on Gareth. 1 nearly hits him, but just misses. Right, it's our go. Missile fire is going to be awkward. In fact, it's too close for missile fire. This little ledge is quite narrow, so we're going to have to just get into melee. Donard hits and kills 1. Gareth His melee attack was 14, so he hits and he does d6 plus 3. They only have 6 hit points anyway, so he kills another. Carrick hits and kills another. There are 2 left and one has 2 hit points. So let's move on to round number 3. They get initiative. I shall do a morale check. 6. It holds up. Let's do the attack on Donard. Misses. The attack on Carrick. Misses. The attack on Gareth. Misses. Let's retaliate. Donard hits and kills one. Gareth hits, kills another. Carrick. He misses. There is one left. Let's roll for initiative. It gets initiative. Morale check. And its morale fails. It flies away. So we have to climb up the next stage. And all of that looks good. Carrick, Donard and Gareth. Oh, right. Gareth takes a tumble with the 96. And he takes 6 points there as he clatters off the side of a cliff, swinging there at the end of the rope. Let's roll for a wandering monster. There isn't any, so let's make it to the next stage. Liz, Sylvia and Malin. Right. Oh, luckily, Orange Dice is Liz, and she can succeed on a roll of 99, and there she got a 98. Apart from that, everybody else was good. Carrick, Donard and Gareth. Oh boy, right. What have we got here? We've got a 29, we've got a 5, and we've got a 96. That's Donard who takes a tumble. For 5 points. He's on 46. Let's roll for a wandering monster. There isn't one. Right, let's go to this stage. And all of that looks good. Let's roll for the 3 guys. Right, okay. Orange is Carrick, and he takes a tumble. That's his first one. For 4 points, he's down to 28. Dwarves are meant to be on the inside of mountains, not on the outside, climbing them with rope. Anybody sensible would cut a staircase into this. So let's roll for the wandering monster check. And there is. Let's see if it is a valid one. And that's 6. Right, that came up as wild boars, so we can ignore that one. Let's climb up the next stage. All of that looks good. And all of that looks good. There is no wandering monsters. So we have to take a bit of a sideways climb to reach this platform, which is quite big. Let's see how Liz, Sylvia and Malin do. Remember, the order is orange, green and blue. Right, again, Liz with the 90s rolls. Luckily for her, that doesn't affect her, but she's meant to be the expert climber. Malin doesn't do too well, and Sylvia finds that one a bit of a struggle. Right. doesn't bode well for our two dwarves. Okay, however, they make it all up without much issue. Oh, right. There could be something waiting for us. It says a cave bear. I'll ignore that. There isn't any cave bear up here, right? Let's roll for this stage. We're close to the top. Okay, and again, Liz with the 95s. Well, she's the one who has to lead the way, so you would expect her to have a tougher time as she tries to secure the rope so everybody else can climb up. Let's see how the others do. Donard does particularly well. Gareth struggles for a bit. And there isn't anything. We'll move up onto this stage, and this is where it starts to get cold, and the wind starts to blow, the mist comes in. So I'm going to drop the odds of an accident to 85% and for Liz down to 95%. Right, that all looks good for the first lot up. Then we have the dwarves and Donard. Okay, that also looks good. Anything attacking us at this high altitude? Nope. Move up to the next one. Right, okay. And again, Liz with the 91s. I did say 95 would get her into trouble. She's safe there. 78, that's Sylvia. Sylvia's not enjoying this cold. Let's hope the next lot do better. And they do much better. Right. Anything here circling the peaks? Finally, we make it to the top. That's Malin, who has a more difficult time, but still does it okay. And then finally, the last lot come up. And they're successful as well. That was the ascent up the side of the volcano. The party are here. They will have a shorter descent next time, where there will be 8 checks to make, not 12, but here they are. Evening has set in, the sun is setting way on the far horizon over the edge of the sea to the west. Most of this has fallen into shadow, and what the party can see for the first time, this is a crater. The bottom of the crater is mostly filled with the lake. There is an island on the lake, quite small, roughly 1 mile by 1.5. The area is covered in jungle, and in the jungle on the island they can see what looks like the ruins of a temple. In the distance, probably about 4 miles away, they can see on the edge of the lake some kind of what looks like tiny huts. From this distance, the place looks tiny. In fact, they can really only tell the huts are there because there's some clear wood smoke rising, and the wolves did tell the party they could smell the scent of cooked meat drifting over this area from the mountain. Of course, the wolves have no idea what the origin was. They also noticed another thing on the island beside the temple, off to one side, and it looks like a giant fin of a fish. It seems to be semi-triangular shaped, curved, very thin. It has clearly been there for a long time because it is embedded in the jungle, and whilst the top half of it is catching the rays of the sun and seems to be shining, the rest is covered in a sort of greenish algae or lichen. Malin asks, I wonder what that is. Donard says it's probably a bit of broken wall. Carrick says it doesn't look like a structure to me. And Sylvia suggests maybe at this altitude the people in the temple worship the sun, and that's a giant sundial. Perhaps it has religious significance. it is the evening and they don't want to make the descent in the darkness, so they're going to have to camp here in the cold, and then tomorrow they will make their descent, and we will do all of that next time. So I will see you then.